opinions of the guests on the Wyleaner Show are those of the guests and are not necessarily the views and opinions of the hostess Wyleaner and or her co-host.
Are we late? Oh yeah, we late. But anyway, we are here, y'all. I know those of you who are out there ready for the Wyleaner Show, you're like, what in the world's going on? And where is she? Where are they? What's happening? What's really going on? Well, guess what? We are here. I was not going to miss the opportunity for the rubber to meet the road right here again on the Wyleaner Show today. And so I'm excited for, I tell you, Mormon versus ex-Mormon. Who's right, who's wrong? Either or neither. Does the Mormons create atheists? Or is it just in case of disgruntled, discouragement, anger? You name it. Inquiring minds want to know, and y'all know we want to know too. I want to know, and I'm sure you want to know. I want to welcome everybody back, everybody who is watching out there on WyleanerTVShow.com, and everybody who is watching on YouTube and Google Hangout and Tumblr and Facebook fans, all the Facebook fans, and everybody who is tuning in out there on Spreaker, listening live on Spreaker, and everybody who is watching in Pakistan, all over the whole wide world. I'm excited that you came back, and I've got two return guests with me today, and we're going to be talking to them about their beliefs. Their belief, and I tell you, it's just gonna be awesome. We got a two-part show coming up for y'all, and it's gonna be the bomb. I'm looking forward to it, and I know you are too. Y'all know who I am. I'm Wyleaner, the Las Vegas queen of gospel, and I tell you what, the rubber's gonna meet the road up in here today and next week. And so y'all know what we gotta do. We gotta take a quick break, and when we take that break, you know what's gonna happen when we come back? The rubber is gonna meet the road. We'll see you in just a minute.
Hi, this is Wyleaner, the Las Vegas Queen of Gospel. First of all, I really do appreciate your listening and viewing my show every week. I would greatly appreciate your financial assistance as well to keep my show on the air. Please just make some type of contribution. $5, $10, $20, $50, $100 or more, whatever you desire. Please log on to www.WyleanerTVShow.com and click the pay button, or please send your check or money order to Wyleaner, that's spelled WYLEANER, to 420 North Nellis Boulevard, Suite A3, Las Vegas, Nevada, 89110. Also, if you would like to be a guest on the show, please call 702-242-2100 or email me at WyleanerTVShow@AOL.com. That's all for now, and thanks again for your continued support. Blessings to you too, and this is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay, everybody, I appreciate you hanging out with us. And listen, I just want to take the time out to first tell you one interesting thing before we move forward. It's anniversary time again for the Wyleaner Show. Yeah, I should be out somewhere celebrating, you know, but this is my celebration. Right here doing just what we do every week, and that is finding out about what you teach and what you believe to be the quote-unquote truth. Okay, but anyway, it's about 15 years for the Wiley Show being in existence, okay? And so I just want to tell you all that happy anniversary to the Wiley Show. It's awesome. Okay, so listen, everybody, I'm excited to introduce to you and bring back to you two former guests, okay? And these guests, they both have been on the Wiley Show more than one time already. One, you just recently seen him. He's right back with us. And the other one, you haven't seen him for a quick minute, but it hasn't been that long, okay? And so I want to welcome back to the show, first and foremost, I want to welcome back to the show Daniel Johnson. Daniel Johnson is LDS Mormon. LDS stand for Latter-day Saints, okay? And he is back with us, and he has actually been on the show before. And so I'm excited to... Okay. Okay. I guess we don't have any volume here. I can't hear Daniel.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, there we go. Yes, Daniel, I hear you now. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thanks for having me, and congratulations on your anniversary and your show.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Wiley Show has been in existence for 15 years now. So that's you know, quite a milestone, I guess you could say. And then, of course, we have back with us, once again, Mr. Joe Rawlings. Now, Joe Rawlings is ex-Mormon, okay, you guys? He is ex-Mormon, and he is presently atheist. Okay, so he went from Mormon to atheist, and we're going to welcome Joe Rawlings back to the show. He just was with us last week, and he is back with us to have a conversation about Mormonism, strictly Mormonism this time around. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I'm doing really well. Congratulations, Miss Weiliner. Happy anniversary to you. 15 years, that's nothing to sneeze at. To give you a context of how long a time that is, 15 years ago, I was a Mormon.
Okay. That's a real good one. 15 years ago, you were a Mormon. Well, I tell you what, we're getting ready to find out from you, Joe, why you are not a Mormon anymore. Okay? We really want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. And so anyway, thank you so much, guys, for coming back to join me again today. I appreciate both of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to share with my viewers and my listeners in relation to Mormonism and what's really going on between you guys and this atheist guy and all this good stuff here. Okay, so listen, everybody, the phone lines will be open in actually about a minute because we got started late, so give us some time to kind of get our dialogue going, okay? But anyway, if you decide to call in, if you choose to do so, the number is 800 number is 1-866-945-1110. That's 1-866-945-1110. And you can also call 702-527-4471. That's 702-527-4471. If you call the number and you cannot get through, it's because the lines are full or someone is on the other line and all that kind of good stuff. So hang up the phone and continue to watch the show. That's how you do that. And wait, and then you'll see you can call back in. The phone lines will be open until 5:55 p.m., okay? And so when you call in, make sure that you state your name and where you're calling from. And so that way we'll know exactly who we're talking to and who's making the comment. When you call in, you're going to be calling in to ask one of my guests a question, not me, because I don't have no answers for you, okay? in to ask either my atheist guy or my Mormon guy a question about what they teach and what they believe to be the quote-unquote truth. Okay? And so that's how that works. But don't call here asking me nothing because, honey, I'm on the same page you on. Okay? I'm in learn mode. All right? And so also when you call in, make sure that you are respectable to my guests. You do not call in here tripping and potato chipping because we don't play that. I will introduce you to what I call a brand new clique, and that's hang up the phone on you. Okay? And so make sure you call in and talk to the guests with respect, and you can ask them. We have the right to agree to disagree here on the Wileena Show. So you can call in and say, hey, I beg to differ. I don't think you're right about that. Where did you get that information from? Prove it, prove it, prove it. Okay? And it looks it looks like callers are calling in right now, and so we're gonna see what the callers want. I mean, the callers call in almost immediately. So it looks like somebody wants to talk to us right now as we speak. So let's find out who this is. Hello, caller. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Absolutely marvelous, and thank you for calling into the Wileena Show. You are live on the air. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Mike Norton. I'm calling from Northern California. I was actually calling to ask Daniel Johnson a question. I'm wondering what specifically is the difference between Joseph Smith, the Mormon prophet or founder of Mormonism, and Warren Jeffs, the prophet of the FLDS Church. They both had a penchant for young girls and sexual relationships with young girls, and I'm just wondering what, in Daniel Johnson's opinion, is the difference between Joseph Smith and Warren Jeffs? I mean, besides the 170 years.
170 years. Okay. All right. So are you equipped with a headset? And if you are, you can stay on the line and dialogue with Daniel. But if not, you'll need to hang up and take your answer off the air, and then you can call back. You can feel free to call back. So
excellent. We'll do it. I'm just watching the show live on YouTube right now.
Okay. Wonderful.
Also, I'm curious if Daniel Johnson has any problems with the fact that there's not a single legitimate archaeologist in the entire world that believes that the Book of Mormon is an actual book of real people, places, and events.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so let's give Daniel the opportunity to respond. Now, I wanted to make sure to let everybody know that Daniel does not speak for the entire denomination of LDS, but he will give you his point of view. All right. So let's allow Daniel to speak. And if you're having problems hearing him once he speaks, then you can hang up and call back. All right. So let's see what Daniel has to say. Daniel, did you hear? Daniel, did you hear what the caller had to say?
Yes, I did, and I actually had a conversation with him recently, so I don't think he really cares what I think. I think he does like to insult and ridicule and belittle me, and he's very, very good at that. I'll do my best to answer the questions. I don't think he's going to really like my answers or accept them or anything. I think that the difference in time between Warren Jeffs and Joseph Smith is significant, that we live in a different culture with different laws now. I think that in many ways it might be hard to distinguish between the two, and I can see that if you look at it with a critical eye, it would be hard to distinguish between the two. And there are things about the history of Joseph Smith that I don't think are wonderful, and so that's about the best thing I can do with that. I do think that there are extremes that Warren Jeffs goes to that Joseph Smith did not. And so I would distinguish between the two of them. I know that he would not. As far as the archaeology stuff, I'm a little bit bothered, but I think there are many ways in which the the findings of really good archaeologists, non-LDS archaeologists, agree with some of the details in the Book of Mormon. But non-Mormon archaeologists don't think the Book of Mormon to be true. They aren't looking to prove it to be true, and they're kind of looking for very different things. So I think there are some interesting parallels. That's my perspective. I would like there to be more, and I'm, I guess, a little bit bothered by the attitude of many non-LDS archaeologists, but not that much. So that's the best answer I can give, and I don't know what more I can do.
All righty then. All righty then. Okay, so caller, you heard what Daniel had to say there, and if you have more to say or you want to call back, you can feel free to do so. But until then, we will move forward. So, Joe, I mean, we started out with callers right off the top of the cuff here, so we really haven't had an opportunity to get involved with anything. But Joe, I'd like to allow you to jump in, chime in on that if you would like to chime in on what the caller had to say. Okay.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Mike, for the call. And but I'd really actually like to respond to what Daniel was saying. I care what Daniel thinks. And there are a lot of people in this world who should care what Daniel thinks. I mean, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints maintains that these events are true, and that Joseph Smith, in the 1838 version of his first vision, said that he asked Jesus personally in the flesh which of all the churches he should join, and Jesus told him that he should join none of them. That's a quote from Joseph Smith history, that he should join none of them, for they are all wrong, that with their lips they draw near me, yet their hearts are far from me. Now, that's a pretty ostentatious claim to make about all the world's religion, that to say that you, Miss Weiliner, have the wrong Christianity, that all of your viewers who have religion have the wrong religion, is a pretty, if it's either just about the meanest thing that you can say to the, that you can claim to the world, or the most important news. If it is true, there are many people out there who try to obfuscate what truth means and what true is. If Joseph Smith's claims are true, they literally are the most important thing that anybody could be talking about. Quit your jobs, quit bothering about how you're going to eat. Let's all get out there and talk about the amazing good news about Joseph Smith. So I think that to say that Joseph Smith lived in a different culture than Warren Jeffs, and say that that is the reason why some of the things that Joseph Smith did, namely that he married teenage girls, that he very clearly had sexual relations, at least with some of them, and other men's wives, and so on and so forth, is more than just a call to moral subjectivism, to say, well, that was a different time, that was a different place, they had different rules and different morals. If we believe in an objective God, then those rules and morals are constant. And either they apply now and they apply then, or they never really apply at all. And as far as archaeology and non-truthfulness, I would just like to commend Daniel that he admits that is the case, and that he's willing to publicly say that he laments that is the case, because there are a lot of people out there who would discredit any archaeologist who disagrees with the Book of Mormon. So especially in his position with his books and the tours he gives and so forth, I think that it's honest for him to say, look, there's a difference of opinion there, and it does bother him. Well, it should. And so I'm glad he can say that.
Well, I just want to say thank you very much, Joe, for your comments. And it's very nice of you to be cordial to Daniel. Thank you very much for that, too, because that's how we roll here on the Weiliner Show. Even though we, like I said, we can agree to disagree, but we need to disagree respectably. Okay, so Thank you to the caller for calling in with that question right off the bat. Okay, so listen, I just wanted to make sure that people understand some of the preliminaries before we really get real deep into the show. Okay, so I have some preliminary questions that I always ask just to kind of set the record straight with everybody so we'll all know where each other is coming from. And so starting out, I want to make sure that my viewers and my listeners understand the two of you and what you believe to be the quote-unquote truth. So let's start out by asking just a few little preliminary questions, and then we will move forward. So do you believe in God, yes or no, Daniel?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there more I need to say?
Joe, don't start, Joe. Don't start, okay? Don't start on me, man. Because I'm already feeling you, dude. I'm already feeling you. Okay, so Joe. Joe, you know my question. What's your answer? Yes or no, Joe? Give me a second here, but what's your answer?
No.
Okay. All right. So now, thank you very much, guys. Daniel, you said yes, and I'd like to know, why do you believe in God?
Well, I guess for me, it's easy to. I believe in the concept. I think it makes life meaningful. I have testimonies of scriptures, both our scriptures and scriptures we share with the Christian world, that would suggest that. I think it's an innate need to believe in God. Even Richard Dawkins would say there's a God-shaped hole that we've evolved. I think maybe there's a reason for that. And also, for me, some might call it Pascal's wager. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure enough to where I'm going to dedicate my life to it for what that might mean afterwards. Okay. And, some people just intrinsically don't believe in God or have a hard time believing in God. Some people intrinsically do and always will. Some people, I have a friend who used to, and he's kind of come to the conclusion that there is no God, or now he doesn't know what he believes. But it's, I believe it because I feel it deeply inside, and I've given the reasons, and all I can say is I hope I'm right.
All righty then. Okay, so thank you for that, Daniel. Now, Joe, I don't want you to take all day, man. I don't want you to take me all around the world, because I already know you, Joe. I've learned you a little bit now since you've been a guest on the Wiley Show. So, Joe, in brief, tell me why you do not believe in God.
Thank you very much. I'll try to make it very brief. Actually, the adverse of Pascal's wager. Pascal, for those who don't know, Pascal basically invented probability math. And he proposed that, God's existence is a fair coin toss. God exists or God doesn't exist. And so, given that the rewards of believing in God are so fantastically great, then you're better off believing in God even if it isn't true. Then, if you die, you've lost nothing. But as we can see, and as Joseph Smith saw, there are many different religions in the world. All of them claim to be true, and most of them claim that other religions are wrong. And so the more we see that God's existence and the question of, can you get to heaven just by believing in God? And does it matter that you believe in the right God or the wrong God? And so many gods that have existed. It's like Ricky Gervais says, 3,000 gods that came before your God, those are baloney. But your God's right. So the more that we try to define what God is, the more we weigh Pascal's fair coin towards doesn't exist, because we try to get so specific. And Mormonism is a great example of that.
Okay.
So I'll yield.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Boy, I tell you, Joe don't know what a short answer is. He has no clue as to what a short answer is. Anyway, listen, we have another caller on the line. Okay, so hello, caller. How are you?
Very good. It's actually Mike Norton again.
Okay, Mike Norton again. Thanks for calling again, Mike Norton. What do you got to say?
Well, I'm curious. This is for Daniel Johnson. I know Mormons typically try to pass themselves off as a Christian religion, and yet the Book of Mormon refers to every non-Mormon religion on earth collectively as the great and abominable whore of the earth and the church of the devil. So I'm curious if Daniel Johnson feels that that's a very Christ-like attitude to have, that the Mormon church is the only true church on earth, and every single person on earth that belongs to another religion belongs to, according to the Book of Mormon, the church of the devil and the great and abominable whore of the earth.
Ooh! Lordy, Miss Claudia, Daniel. Where are you, Daniel? The rubber meets the road on the Wild in the Show with the caller. Okay, so Daniel, the floor is all yours, Daniel. Go for it.
Okay. I actually like something that Joe said when he said that Joseph Smith's declaration is extremely ostentatious. I believe that it was. Or, the most important thing. I don't agree it's quit your job, don't do anything else important. I think you can keep all that. But, I mean, that kind of is our position. I think that Mike here is taking a verse from the Book of Mormon and perhaps trying to make it sound a little bit meaner than it really is. I can tell you that our current viewpoint is that there is truth in all places. Our position is that we have more of the truth, or the complete truth, or what's really necessary, but that there is truth in many religions and philosophies, even non-Christian ones. And so there are many people that are deceived, and that's the devil's job, is to deceive people. There are other ways of interpreting that passage in the Book of Mormon he refers to. I would tend to say that being a member of the Church of the Devil isn't a specific place. It's in your heart. There could be people that are members of the Church of the Devil in our church. And so I think you have to look and see what are the goals of the Church of the Devil. That's what the Book of Mormon says. And look and see what people or what organizations are trying to further those goals.
Okay. So Daniel, what I just got from you is that it appears to me as though you're saying that the LDS Church does not really just say that all other churches are, or all other denominational beliefs, I won't say churches, all other denominational beliefs are not of the devil. If I'm understanding you correctly, Daniel, you're saying that is not the case under the teaching of the LDS. They're not saying that all of the denominations are of the devil. Am I understanding you correct, Daniel?
Maybe. I think we would, if perhaps pressed to it, we would say there are good parts in them. The parts that are true are of God, and the parts that are not true would be of the devil because they've been corrupted or misled or something like that. So I mean that's what I would say. I don't know if your caller is going to like that answer, but it is an ostentatious claim, as Joe said, and I will go along with that. The truth is that we actually do, at least now I can say that we try to see the good and the beauty in all people and in all faiths. A recent prophet of ours, Gordon Hinckley, has said that we invite all good people to bring their truths that they have with us and have them added upon. And I guess that would mean discarding the untruths that they have had as well.
Okay. So Daniel, I heard you clearly about the truths and the untruths. I guess I would venture to ask you who would determine what's a truth and what's an untruth. I mean, is that untruth decided or determined by the LDS Church? In other words, if someone comes in with another belief of some type with the LDS Church, they will make the decision on what is truth and untruth of that denominational belief. I do know that many denominations other than LDS say that they are the true church or the true belief or the right one. So, but are you saying that the Mormon church would be the one that would make the determination as to what is truth and what is untruth?
That's a tough one to answer, but I guess an easy one would be yes.
Okay. Okay. Listen, we have another caller on the line. I don't know if they wanted another cup of, when the show was on before, they wanted a cup of Joe. Now it looks like they want a cup of Daniel. Okay, so hello, caller. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay, is this the same gentleman, or are you somebody different? State your name and where you from.
No, my name is Aaron.
Oh, okay. And where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Utah.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so you have a question or a comment for who?
Just for both, I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, in my studies, I have found that Joseph Smith married women that were already married, and that just seems to go against everything that I feel is right as far as marriage is concerned. So my question is, why do each of those gentlemen think Joseph Smith would want to marry other men's wives?
Okay, okay, so this is so both of you will be allowed to chime in on this, Joe and Daniel. The caller, did you hear what the caller's question was? Okay, all right, so caller, they heard your question, and I'm going to go ahead and allow them to answer.
Cool.
Would you like to say anything else before you hang up? You can take your answer off the air.
No, just thanks for providing a platform for them to discuss.
Wonderful, and thank you very much for tuning in to the Wallina Show. Appreciate you.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, so Daniel, let's let you go first.
Okay. First of all, I agree that that's a good question. I agree it's a tough question. And I would be happy if that were something that we didn't have in our past and we didn't have to deal with. I think most of us would be. Every Mormon, I think, that stays within the church has to kind of come to some sort of peace with the idea of polygamy. Oddly enough, it seems, just from my point of view, it seems easier to accept the polygamy of, say, Brigham Young and Joseph Smith, the ones who came after, or excuse me, Brigham Young and John Taylor, than, say, the polygamy of Joseph Smith. Maybe that's just my take on it. I think there are a lot of unanswered questions. I was kind of hit with this recently. I think with Joseph Smith's wives, one problem is, for a long time, we haven't had a lot of good resource to go to from our side of things. All the research and all the information out there was from a very negative point of view. Now there's some more good stuff out there. With Joseph Smith's wives, here are some things that I think is a fair assessment. Some of them he did have sex with, some of them he definitely did not, and some of them we just don't know either way. And my answer that I don't know if others are going to like is that he appears to have taught this idea of eternal marriage. And from what a lot of people who really look into this trying to find out the truth and not just make accusations, it seems that the wives that he married who were already married were actually sealed to him for some reason for eternity and not necessarily for this life. And it was kind of like they would rather have chosen to be with him for eternity than with their current husbands for eternity. Now, it's a weird practice. It's something we don't do now, and I can't fully explain it. That's about the best answer I can give. there's a really great website called josephsmithspolygamy.org that actually goes into detail about all of this and goes into a lot of historical accounts, and that can probably give a lot better perspective on these things than I can just right here.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that, Daniel. You know, and Joe, I'm gonna allow you to chime in just 1 second, but I just want to make a quick comment about what you just said, Daniel. You know, I'm pretty sure there's probably some people out there that may wonder. You're in a denominational teaching and belief that was really founded by, I believe, Joseph Smith. And so they may want to know, why would you feel so comfortable being in a belief that was founded by a man that had the behavior that he had? You know, the polygamy and all these different things like that. And if you feel like you want to elaborate on that, Daniel, I will allow you to, but I don't want to lose the question. So I'm going to go to Joe and let him respond to that question as well. But then I'd like for you to expound on what I just stated as well, Daniel, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, don't mean to step on your toes, Miss Weiliner. You are not a person I want to make angry. We already talked about rage last week.
No, you don't.
So Daniel mentioned Gordon B. Hinckley, and this question of how do you know what is truth really is central to the question of God, and particularly of Mormonism, religion, all wrapped up into one. But particularly when we talk about the character of Joseph Smith, the reason why it's so sticky for a lot of Mormons, as Daniel said, and that is something that a lot of Mormons wish was not in their past. I, as a former Mormon, wish I didn't have to confront with that, is that Gordon B. Hinckley said that either Joseph Smith's claims are true. Now that means the first vision story, that means the claim about the angel Moroni and the gold plates and being able to translate them by the power of God, meaning that that the Book of Mormon is a historical document, meaning that if those girls were called by God, according to Joseph Smith, to be his wives, that God had an actual purpose behind it. All of that, that if Joseph Smith's claims are either true or this work, meaning the church, is a fraud. This is the kind of polarized thinking that Mormonism, as I have always learned it, was founded upon. You have two churches, as Lehi's dream says in the Book of Mormon, the Church of the Lamb of God and the Church of the Devil. Now you can broaden that interpretation to say that the Church of the Lamb of God can include other people. I mean, the same Lehi's dream says that God's Spirit moved upon Christopher Columbus and the founders of America, but Mormons believe that the reason why, according to their interpretation of the Book of Mormon, is so that Joseph Smith could be born in a land of freedom of religion where God could restart the true religion. So I think that it is that the question of the character of Joseph Smith as the founder of Mormonism, I don't think you'd find a Mormon who would deny that he is, unless they say that, you know, it was founded by Jesus and then just restarted through Joseph Smith. Okay, what have you? The character of Joseph Smith calls into question all of the truthful claims of the Mormon Church and its claim to be the only true church and to have authority at all, including this question of, did Jesus tell Joseph Smith that all the other preachers in the world and all the other religions drew near to God with their lips, but their hearts are far from God? I think is a question that doesn't just challenge Mormons. I think that it's a question that should disturb a lot of other religious people.
Okay. Okay, it looks like we caught a little glitch there or something. I'm not sure, but I didn't catch the tail end of what you said, and I'm not sure if everybody else did or not, Joe. But So your last sentence, I guess, if you can repeat that, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So the character of Joseph Smith calls into question his claim that Jesus speaks through him as his prophet, and that Jesus told him that all the world's religions drew near to him with their lips, but their hearts are far removed from him. Not only is that ostentatious of a claim, that is a claim that is critically important to religious and irreligious people all throughout the world. It either happened or it didn't. And unfortunately for Mormons, if it turns out that it didn't, it really does obscure any other claims that the church makes regarding the truthfulness of its mission and its divine calling.
Okay. Thank you, Joe, for elaborating on that. Now, I don't know if you really answered the question that the caller asked, about the marriages, but maybe you did. Maybe it just went over my head. Which sometimes things do. So it's all good. Okay, but listen, I want to go back to Daniel, because Daniel, I want to give you the opportunity, if you will, to respond to what I said to you before Joe spoke. Would you please do that, Daniel? Thank you.
Certainly. And I got to say, I agree with a lot of what Joe is saying. I mean, practically all of it. But then he and I kind of come from the same background, and he's speaking the same language. He's just kind of made the calculation and gone a different direction. But he is posing the question, I think, quite accurately. I'd like to maybe pose that same question to each one of us individually. Do I draw near unto God with my lips, but is my heart far from God? Maybe that's a question we should all ask ourselves. But, with the idea of Joseph Smith, how can I believe this? And ideas of his character. Again, great questions. I think if there is any prophet in the last days or in any time, it certainly possibly could be a false prophet. I think we're warned about Christ and his apostles he's warned about false prophets. I think definitely we could all agree there are some examples of false prophets. But we're also taught, by their fruits you shall know them. And so that'd be my suggestion. Look at the fruits of the man. And I've come to the conclusion that what he taught was true, and what he brought forth was true, and so I believe in it. And so because I do that, I'm kind of accepting the whole thing, warts and all. I'd rather there not be any warts in the whole picture, but if they're there, I'm going to accept them and kind of see where that goes. And the question of Joseph Smith and polygamy is a tricky one. I don't think we're really talking about it as much as we would need to. I mean, that could be a whole series of shows just on that to try and go back and forth. But I think there are some great resources out there to find out more about it, and you don't just have to listen to the people who are very antagonistic anymore.
Well, Daniel, thank you for that. And yeah, you're right. We could do a whole series of shows just on the polygamy practices of whatever Mormons that have committed polygamy. And there are some, of course, I remember, Daniel, having you on a different show, on a previous show, and I think we did touch on that a little bit, and you, I believe, if I remember correctly, you stated to me that that's a different sect of Mormons. They're not affiliated with the true LDS church. Because there are still some Mormons that are actually participating in polygamy activity today as we speak. Am I correct about that, Daniel?
Well, you're correct that their ancestors were from the church, and they might consider themselves Mormons. We would consider them as having departed from the right way and have living the law of polygamy without divine approval, and that's something we're told we cannot do. So we would look at them as being apostate and not following the current prophet. And the truth is that most of them have never been Mormons technically. It was their ancestors who were, and kind of didn't make the change when the practice was discontinued.
Wow. I tell you what, I think there's a lot to be said for the LDS. And of course, you know, there's a lot to be said for a lot of denominations for that matter, but since we're talking about LDS. But anyway, listen, we have another caller on the line, and I'm not sure who the caller is. Hello, caller, how are you?
Hello?
Yes, will you state your name and where you're calling from, please?
Patricia from Southern California.
I'm sorry, what did you say your first name was?
Patricia?
Patricia. Okay, hi Patricia, how are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I came across your show and I was like, I just popped out and I'm here, so I've been listening.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, Patricia, we have Mormon and ex-Mormon, currently atheist right now. So, would you like to ask a question or make a comment on from either one?
Yes, I have a comment and both can respond. And what it surrounds is the Mormon Church handling.
This is a call for Live on the Air from
Robert.
And there are murders in the wars that I was in, which actually are what I consider a timeline of criminal events, and that's leading me up to clergy abuse and why I left the church. My query is this: then I discovered a secret handbook that they keep it as long as it's kept secret, basically. They don't have to excommunicate the person or really do anything. And one of the perpetrators of my clergy abuse, as I quote allege, I understand I better say allege, actually murdered a man in cold blood. The church actually called in people to handle it. And when I confronted the church with my abuse by this person, I was told, and I quote from the state president, "We're not going to do anything to," and I'll say the guy's name, George Saskian. The last name is spelled K-S-A-J-I-K-I-A-N. We're not going to do anything to George because he's a man called of God, and that's so much for the church. And the state president who told me that was being quit the door. So I really wanted to hear from two people who have been missionaries, who have been in the church, other than as a convert such as I. How can that be defended?
Okay. Okay, Patricia. Okay, so guys, did you comprehend what Patricia is saying here and what she wants to know? Yes or no, guys?
Joe, do you have any insight in that? I didn't quite catch it.
I can weigh in that a little bit, I think. I didn't hear all of what Patricia said. Patricia, you're still on the line?
Okay, so Patricia, are you still there?
I'm still here. I'm having a hard time hearing both of your guests, but I can hear you on my cell phone.
Okay, so this is what you got to do, Patricia. You're going to have to take your answer off the air, but I need you to state your question, only your question, because they said that they didn't seem to get what you want to know. So make your question simple and to the point, and then take your answer off the air. Go ahead.
Okay. How does the LDS Church defend allowing a priesthood holder no consequence to victimizing a person, whether it's a child abuse whether it's abuse of an adult or the elderly or dependent adult, based on their secret handbook that says if you keep it, if not many people know, you don't have to do anything. How can that ever be justified? As I was told, I was victimized. Yes, we believe you, they told me, but the church is not going to do anything to George Cassidy's kid because he is a man called of God and does so much for the church. How? I guess this would go to Dan primarily because he still, he has the opportunity to wake up too. How can the Mormon church justify that?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. So thank you, Patricia. I'm going to let the guys go ahead and respond to your question. Okay?
Thank you again for this opportunity. I just, like I said, total came across you. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching. Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
So guys, who wants to go? Who wants to go first? I tell you what, I'm going to pick somebody. I'm going to start with Joe. Joe, and don't let it last all day, so we can give Daniel a chance. So Joe, go for it and see if you can respond to what she said.
Thank you. I don't see how the church can justify it, Patricia. Honestly, I mean, I've been recording testimonials for a documentary series that I'm producing called Mormon Sex for about 2 years now. And I've documented the testimonials of people who were abused by priesthood holders and priesthood leaders in the church who not only weren't reprimanded, weren't reported to the authorities, but in some cases were covered up. In some cases, the church's attorneys actually offered to compensate them to keep their silence. I mean, the deeper that rabbit hole goes, the harder it is for the church to justify their actions. Ultimately, they should come clean. They should be transparent. And frankly, they should start involving the police and start involving law enforcement, which is not current policy of the priesthood leadership. Which, you know, when there's a case of sexual assault particularly, which is what I've been talking to people about, they have them call what's called the rape crisis hotline, which doesn't even go to law enforcement from what I understand from people who actually worked in the church's offices preparing that manual. And so I would say every church has some kind of problem. We've seen what happened with the Catholic Church, and you know, taking priests and scuttling them away to safety and so forth. And you know, I think we expect that some outliers would happen, but it's actually a little alarming how common it is in the Mormon Church, and they need to do a better job of training their priesthood leadership so that it doesn't happen in the future. I think they can do it, and I don't know why they don't.
Okay, Daniel?
Yes.
Go right ahead, Daniel, and chime in on the caller's question, please.
Okay. Well, I mean, Joe has information that I don't have, apparently, so I can't speak to that. How does the church justify it? I don't think the church can. I haven't personally seen experiences where it has been justified. I know that in priesthood leadership training that I've been to, I've been taught just the opposite of what's being said. So I would not look to any abuse of anyone, especially women and children, as being justifiable. I think the person should be punished the full extent of the law and to the full extent of what the church can do, the greatest of which is excommunication. I've always grown up under the teaching and the practice that priesthood holders are or should be held to a higher accountability, and when they do things that are wrong, they're in greater danger of excommunication. It sounds like, I don't know what happened to your caller, Patricia, it sounds like something awful happened to her if she was abused or victimized, and it sounds like it happened again if nothing happened to her abuser, and I feel terrible about that. But I don't justify it in any sense.
Oh, wow. Yes, and I totally agree with you. It does sound like Patricia really suffered some type of trauma there under the auspices of whoever was in that particular church that she attended, which is very sad to say. But listen, everybody, listen. We started late, so we're going to go a couple minutes over, but the show is supposed to be over right now. But listen, we're going to go probably about maybe about 5 more minutes, and then we're out of here, and we're going to have to come back for part 2, okay? And so listen, we have a caller on the line. Hello, caller. How are you?
Hi, Wyler. I adore your show. You are an absolute hoot. I'm a first-time watcher, but I got to tell you, it's Mike Norton again. I have one last question for Daniel. As Daniel knows, I have videos on YouTube of Mormon temple ceremonies. If you go to YouTube channel New Name Noah, you'll see these. I'm wondering for Daniel if he can explain why, if Mormonism is true, why I haven't been caught inside a single Mormon temple. I've attended at least 7 different Mormon temples at least 40 times over the last 14 years, and I've recorded a lot of what goes on in there with hidden cameras, and yet not a single solitary temple worker has had the power of discernment to know that not only was I not a faithful, active member of the Mormon Church, but in fact I was an ex-Mormon with a hidden camera on me, videotaping everything they do. If you go to YouTube, just type in Mormon temple ceremony, and you can see what they do in the temples, and it's crazy. But I'd like to know from Daniel where the power of discernment is. Why have I not been caught inside the temples yet, if your church is true?
Okay. Well, I guess we're going out on a bang. We're going out with a bang, y'all, because the Wiley Show about to be over for today. But thank you, caller, for calling in. I'm going to let Daniel respond to that, and then we're going to bust the move and get up out of here. Okay, thanks, caller, for calling in. And appreciate the good, kind things that you said about the Wiley Show. Don't let this be your last show tuning into, okay? All right, so he's gone. Okay, Daniel. Oh, my goodness. He's been infiltrating the camp. So what do you have to say about that, Daniel?
I just wonder why he keeps calling and why he wants to ask me these questions. I don't understand. I don't know. He's certainly a very brazen individual. I don't know. Perhaps he's expecting something that's just not likely to happen. We're all full of people that are imperfect, and some of us are trying our best, and some of us aren't. Why he hasn't been caught, I don't know. For me, that doesn't mean that my church isn't true. It just means we have a really brazen, rude guy that's good at what he does. So I don't know. I don't have a good question or answer for him, as again.
Well, okay, Daniel, I'm not mad at you, man. Plead the fifth on that one. Okay, but it's apparently maybe he hasn't been inside your temple yet, Daniel. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for the guy with the camera hid. All right. Okay. So Joe, I'm gonna let you make I'm gonna let you make one comment, and then I'm gonna make the last comment. Okay. But anyway, Joe, go ahead and chime in on that real quick, and we're getting out of here, man.
Sure. I mean, I can't really speak as to why Mike seems to have singled out Daniel quite so closely there, but I will say that, I think that depending on the Mormon that you ask, some Mormons would not be disturbed by a lot of these things. We've talked about this before, that faith is really an instrument of people searching for meaning, like Daniel said earlier, that they're not really as interested in the details of why this if the church is true, why that if the church is true, as they are. You know, for me, this gives my suffering meaning. It means that I am going to be with my family forever, and I'm willing to let a lot go. There's a lot of people out there. I mean, Daniel was talking about that there are some Mormon historians that you can go to for facts about Mormon polygamy. One of them, Richard Lyman Bushman's one of the greatest. I am a big fan of his work, Joseph Smith, Rough-Stone Rolling particularly, in which he has said he was surprised to find most Mormons don't believe that Joseph Smith was a polygamist. After all this time and all the evidence, you know, we have Joseph Smith's journals, we have Heber C. Kimball's journals, we have the Newell K. Whitney papers, we have all kinds of documents from that time period that verify it's been there the whole time. It's not just come out. It's just that only anti-Mormons were talking about it. But in the process, there's a lot of people that are coming out from Mormonism, and so you're not likely to dissuade them, Mike.
Well, Joe the Wiley in the song shut you down, man. Okay, so listen, everybody. I'll tell you what, I'm excited that you guys came back to join us. And you know what's going to happen? We'll be back next week for part 2 of the Wiley Show. Listen, I can't sit with y'all all day. I can only sit so many hours. You know what I'm saying? And because I start getting all kind of pains everywhere. So I got to get up and move around and go sit back down again. And right now it's time for me to move. Okay, I got to bust the move on y'all to get up out of here. But listen, we'll be back next week for part 2 of Mormon versus ex-Mormon, presently atheist. Okay? And I appreciate all the callers that called in today and everybody who's tuning in and watching out there on the show. We really love it. And come back next week again, same time, same place. WildLadyTVShow.com is where you watch the show, WildLadyTVShow.com. And y'all know who I am. I'm Wild Lady, the Las Vegas Queen of the Gospel. And y'all know what show this is. This is the Wild Leader Show, and this is where the rubber meets the road. We'll see you next week. Thank you.